Okay, hey everybody. Welcome to week 4 of this semester, module 4. I really appreciate all the work you've done through these first 3 modules. It's been really fun to read just your understanding of these new poetic terms and poetic insights and how you've applied that. Most recently, I was able to grade the focus on Ruby Carr, Mary Oliver, and Amanda Gorman, 3 very different poets, but 3 poets who also have some similarities. And it was interesting to read your insights into that. Please look at your score there and make sure that you view the feedback. I've tried to add feedback, especially to those of you who maybe lost some points or a bunch of points. So that way you know what to focus on for next time and how you can, give yourself the best chance to earn as many points as possible. What I want to do now, because module 4 is our midterm module, so I want to jump in there and highlight, some bigger assignments this week, and also remind you that you can always reach out to me with any questions that you have for this week as well. So let's jump in and see what we can see. Boop. There we go. All right, so here's that announcement that I've just posted, but I need to embed this video in it. So apologies if you're seeing this early and you're like, where's the video? Mr. Betts didn't put the video down here. Professor Betts forgot about that. Didn't forget, mostly just need to upload it, and I wanted to at least get some quick word out to you in the early afternoon. So in module 4, we can see that we've got this big midterm exam that's worth 20% of our final grade. So that's one that you absolutely do not want to sleep on. That's going to be due on February 10th. All right. But what you have here are some different discussions of various forms of poetry. And this week, these learning materials here are super duper important because this week you're going to try your hand at a couple of poems and see what you can produce. So you're going to write and post 2 original poems this week, and you're going to choose a different form for each poem. Now, I want you to view this as an opportunity to have fun. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I'm not expecting you to pop in here and, be Mary Oliver or, produce something like Allen Ginsberg or something like that. You just want to try to have fun with a form and see what you can produce. Okay. That's what I'm looking for most. And then you have an opportunity to reply and give helpful feedback for 4 poems posted by your peers. So you're going to be diving in, and the easiest way to do this would just be to look at, 2 different peers and the 2 poems that they've produced and offer some quick feedback and comments on those poems. All right. But you could also look at 4 different poems from 4 different people, and that's okay. That's okay too. So you want to use these questions to help you in that feedback process. And what this is doing is this is giving you an opportunity to, one, understand and see the difficulties of writing poetry. Some of you are going to really, all of us, when we write poetry, I write poems, we really struggle at some point in time during the writing process. And you'll feel that struggle at some point, especially if you're trying to, squeeze something into a form. It can feel really tricky. So we'll get a better understanding of how these poems have come into being, but then also we'll get some practice in critiquing and commenting on our peers' poetry. And that's really helpful, especially if you plan to take a creative writing class, if you've never taken a creative writing class, or a poetry writing class later. That will be a nice primer there for you. But that's our discussion this week. And that's what we would do in class if we were meeting in class face-to-face. We have a reader response this week as well in relationship to this poem, in relation to this poem. So this poem is written in a particular form, and that form is discussed in the YouTube video. And you want to think about how it described to me how you determined it was that form. So effectively tell me the features of that form, all right, and then what you're seeing within the poem itself. The poem doesn't align perfectly with the form. So what does that mean? And there's a hint here. So you've got a hint. The thesis of the poem. So what is the poem about? What's the main action or conflict? and then a final couple of questions related to craft. So those are and style. So those are our questions for our reader response due next Monday, right? Because we have things to do on Monday now. I have had things to do on Sunday, but now I've pushed it to Monday. So I just want to double check. We have a quiz on poetic form, so you'll be able to answer these questions as you have gone after you've gone through these uh, learning materials. And then we have our big midterm exam. So it's worth 200 points because there are 40 total questions and they're going to relate to things that we have looked at this term. And you're going to see that you have multiple attempts for this. You have 2 attempts and you'll keep the highest attempt. So if you go through this and you get something that you're not happy with, take it again, improve your score. I'm most concerned with you making sure that you are learning some core things in this course about poetry. And I want to avoid any kind of gotcha-like questions. So if you go through here and you end up missing a lot more than you expect, you feel like you hit some gotcha questions and you need to go back and figure out what those answers were or are, then you'll have an opportunity to do that. Okay. So this week, poetic forms. Are trying our hand at poetic forms, commenting on our peers' poems kindly, and using those questions to help us. Doing a reader response to a poem and considering what form that poem is in. And then lastly, a midterm that kind of tries to consolidate what we've been looking at through the first 4 weeks of the course. Okay, so this is going to feel like a busier week than previous weeks because there's a really big midterm exam at the end. Otherwise, it would feel like a normal week. So just give yourself some grace. Try to find some good times to dive into the learning materials because perhaps in past modules you haven't needed to lean on the learning materials as much as you might need to during this module. So give yourself grace, give yourself time. Try to schedule out your week so that way you can not only do the learning, but you can excel in the assessment as well, and you can earn all or most of these points. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, of course, but I guess I could stop sharing my screen, come back here. But mostly, let me, keep an eye on your grade book. I have to submit midterm grades next Tuesday. So, I'm not going to have everything graded because you'll submit a lot of things on Monday. So your midterm grade is going to be a little off, but you can always have a pretty good idea of what your grade is. Midterm grades are not final grades. They're just a quick snapshot based on what has been submitted so far in the grade book. All right. And what's been graded so far in the grade book. But as always, reach out to me with any questions, comments, concerns, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do this week. So take good care, enjoy some warmer weather today, and I hope that you're well.